1,000 to me, what it means to me is it's obviously the most special one you can win, but more than anything is the way I look at it is it has a little bit of everything rough or fast road or cool sections of any other course we race all year, but it's all in one. Especially this year, Peninsula runs extra special. It's pretty cool, you know, and it was plenty rough. So I would say, you know, the roughest place we go every year is San Felipe, and we did plenty of that. We did, you know, the whole Portecita section, which is pretty gnarly, and plenty of graded road, fun stuff. It was awesome. That's why it's everything. You know, 1,000 is everything in one. In a long ways. It's a long ways to go, so it's really cool. That's why it means the most to me.
It's our Daytona, it's our Indianapolis. It's the race that means everything to us. So the Baja 1000's it. I mean, you prepare for the 1,000 12 months a year. It's an ongoing process, so we're always thinking about it.
The toughest race, the most desolate race, everything you can think of is aspects of the Baja 1000. You know, you got everything from the beaches in San Felipe and San Juanico to the silt beds and to going by the San Javier mission. So not only do you get the tough stuff, but you get to see the most beautiful country, in my eyes, what I think is the most beautiful country in the world.
For me and the Desert Assassins, the Baja is really like our second home. We spend so much time down there. So when it's Baja 1000 time of year, you know, we get pretty geeked up. We spend a lot of time pre-running, spend months on the peninsula, and you know, it's a cool place for us. And you know, it's like our heart and our minds are part of Baja, and Baja is a part of us. So it's like second nature to be down there. And of course, the #1 goal is always winning. And you know, if you can't do that, you still got to enjoy the beauty of Baja.
I mean, every one of the races we do all year means something, and I like them, and they all have their special place and their own special meaning. But to me, nothing's like the 1,000.
Preparation of the truck is really something that you dig deep into. You know, some teams have one guy, some teams have two guys. You know, we had 3 full-time guys working on it, plus volunteers, and you basically strip the truck down all the way to the frame. You have to check all the components of the suspension. You have to put the new motor in, the new transmission in, make sure the shocks are working absolutely perfect. It's kind of a calculated ballet when you're putting the truck together. The guys are working so hard and so feverish, but at the same time they have to be so spot on and so perfect. They're looking for that perfect 10 of a prep so we can go out and win the Baja 1000.
Just absolutely everything we're doing throughout the year in different races, whether that's San Felipe or the 500 or Laughlin or whatever it is, we're always thinking about the 500. We're always thinking about what setup we would use at the 1,000, whether it's a loop race or a peninsula run, and the logistics that's behind the 1,000. I think it's what the normal fan really doesn't know about, right? I mean, we usually have about 180 people helping us during a Baja 1000, and the logistics to get that up and running is probably going on 6 months before the race. You're bringing people to other races that are really there to practice and to be part of the team just because you're getting ready for the 1,000. It's the biggest race of the year for us, so obviously we're always looking to see what advantage we can have, look at the logistics of the race and say, where can we pit where we think other cars are not going to pit, where we can take a little bit of an advantage there, and just every single second or minute that you can get out of it, just by outthinking someone else or trying to do things different than someone else count. So the 1,000 is the 1,000. It's the queen of all races.
Normally before a race, any race before the 1,000 actually, I'll really get myself pumped up before the start. I'll listen to music and kind of get my adrenaline going, and then when you pull up to the start line and all the fans are there and you're really in the moment, and all you're thinking about is your plans for the day and your plan of attack and what you're going to do and how you're going to go and attack the course. But for the 1,000, it's really you against Baja, and it's not, you're not worried about any competitors. It's more just get the truck to my dad, get a good look at it, get out, and just really go from there. And unfortunately, it didn't work out that way.
It's pretty stressful. I'm real nervous the morning of the race. Really hard to eat, but you got to eat because I'm planning on being on the car for probably around 12 and a half hours, 520 miles, and it's nerve-wracking because your whole season is in front of you. This race, it's the most difficult race probably in the world, and it's going to make or break your entire season.
When you're in that truck, the adrenaline's going. It's nonstop. It's not a problem of having the energy of the adrenaline to go. So my biggest thing is always I'm just trying to stay calm, think about what I got to do, what the sections are, and try and keep myself mellow. People come up and they're asking me, what, are you excited? Are you nervous? Or what's going on? And really, I try not to think about those kind of things. I try and just block it out and kind of, put it aside. And it's like going into the office every day. You don't get nervous going to work. So try and put that aside and really think about what we got to do, and when we got to use the truck when it counts and when we got to get to the finish line first.
Well, talk about nerve-wracking. Your whole year builds up to a crescendo at the Baja 1000. You get on the start line. Of course, you got 32 other trophy trucks, all of them with 800 horsepower. And, these unlimited vehicles can do just about anything. And it's up to the driver to contain and keep the truck on the race course, keep it from crashing. The truck doesn't have a brain. It just wants to go out and eat up the whoops. So you have to think about what you're doing and leaving town. There's so much beauty. Of course, you have the beauty of Baja and so many people lining the wash and the trail out of town. It's a pretty amazing feeling when you get to the start line and you're able to take off and just see the people, the parting of the ways, and just work yourself out of town, and you start to get to the real dust and the real desert, and the Baja 1000 has just begun. You just got to use your brain a little bit as you get going.
Javi and I started, and we started second off the line behind Roger Norman. And at the beginning, Roger was setting down a pretty good pace. So we try to sort of mirror his pace in terms of trying to pressure him into committing a mistake. We knew at the beginning it was going to be very tight. I mean, out of Ensenada through Ojos Negros, across 77 down into Leyes, it was going to be all very, very tight. So we really thought our opportunity to get around Roger was going to be once we got down into the San Felipe, Puertecitos area after our first pit.
We got a rear start. We were second rear start, so we started second to last. We only had one guy behind us, and by Ojos, we were catching and passing cars left and right.
The dust off the start was horrible. Got to about race mile 15, and we had a little shortcut there. We took it past Pistol Pete and one other truck there. Basically had an uneventful run all the way to Calamuhe Wash.
We broke the first time like around, I want to say probably 120 or so, right when you hit the pavement after Independencia.
My steering locked up and I had no power steering. Luckily we had a chase truck right there off the side, We pulled off the road, pulled the hood, noticed that the return line from our cooler to our pump, which really doesn't see that high pressure, had exploded a hole in it somehow. So we thought of the fastest thing to do without having an extra power steering hose was to bypass the cooler line and just not run the cooler. So we did that and pulled out right behind Lettner and Daniel, my cousin, in the Class 1 cars, and figured, we were down for 30 minutes, but it's a really long day and stuff happens and everyone might have problems, and we have a championship that we want to accomplish down here in this race, so let's just keep moving and see what happens.
When it got fixed the first time, it had crimped the hose because it was the wrong hose going to the control valve. Fixed it again and went a little ways longer than that, it popped it another time. So at that point, we were pretty much done. And from there, honestly, it was pretty much just go as quick as you can without killing Class 11s.
We just kept pushing through San Felipe. San Felipe has always been good for me because I can push the truck very hard in San Felipe, and it likes the bad stuff, the whoops. The Geyser trucks are excellent. And obviously, the Fox Shox just absorbed all that and went through it perfectly. Once we got out onto the highway, we noticed that we had a couple of headers that were broken, so we stopped in the middle of the road. Javi got out really quickly by himself, checked and saw that they were far enough down the header that it wasn't going to affect us, at least immediately. So we got back in and continued going. By the time we got to Puertecitos around there, we had about a 3-minute, 50-second lead on Roger, which we were comfortable with.
We had no issues, me and Casey King, all the way to about Frog Canyon, just past Coco's Corner, about mile 300-ish. We found a water hole about the size of my kitchen, about 3 feet, 4 feet deep, and put the whole car in the water. It was kind of whenever you put a race car in some water, it's kind of a scary thing for a split second. But once I got out and kind of looked at the situation, I was like, okay, this isn't that bad. We'll figure it out.
About 4 miles from El Crucero, race mile 334, we got a flat tire. So we got out and changed that. Made it to El Crucero with no problems. We're about 8th, 9th truck on the road, started 15th. So we're pretty good when we gave the truck over to Justin Bean Smith.
So I got in the truck at El Crucero about 3:36, and about mile 440, the serpentine belt pulley went out. The idler pulley, the bearing exploded, and cost me about 20 minutes fixing that. Had to put a spare pulley on and a new belt. Got going again, and just started plucking our way along, getting through.
And there's really long straightaways between San Juanico and La Purísima, where, again, going about 125, 130, we got another rear flat. Got out, changed that pretty quickly. Got back in the car, didn't lose any positions, but again, we lost about 2.5 minutes or so. And, we pitted at La Purísima, just fuel and tires. We got some feedback that Roger wasn't behind us at that point, I believe. It was Robbie, and he was about 14 minutes behind us.
Got to Cameron at mile 7:45, gave him the truck, and he went off.
And so when I got in the truck, we were a ways down, and we had the opportunity to catch a couple trucks, which was good, but we were having a false fill problem on the truck. The pop-off valve on the fuel cell actually gave us a false reading that we were full of fuel, when actually we only took about 25 gallons of fuel. And the bad news is I spent 4 or 5 hours waiting for fuel and to get going again up past San Javier Mission. So one of the most desolate places on the racetrack, I was on a camping mission.
We were putting time on the leader, probably about 10 minutes behind him, and the transmission broke on us about mile 900, which was a pretty big upset, devastating.
Once we got out to checkpoint 9, put the car in first gear, and it just spun. Nothing happened. So obviously we got worried at that point. We put it in second gear and just decided to take it really easy. We knew we had about a 30-minute lead on Robbie, and there's been a lot of other occasions where we've been leading and just stuff had happened to the truck, and it's one of those stories. Well, I was leading, but then X happened, right? So we just took it easy. Last 160 miles or so, went really easily through the gears. Tried not to shift a lot, especially coming down into the pause, that little summit. Once you're coming down, just took it very, very easy through there. And, ended up being at the finish line about 23 minutes ahead of Robbie. and obviously the first Mexican national team to win a Baja 1000 overall.
So Gary Arnold got in, and he did a fantastic job. He drove from North Laredo all the way to La Paz, and he didn't have any issues. The only issue he had was he lost power steering about 20 miles from the finish, but at that point we weren't about to stop and fix it. That'd be just ridiculous. So he manned up and he drove that car with no power steering all the way to the finish to La Paz, and we ended up getting second to Steve Appleton.
It took us about an hour and a half to get out to him, or not to get out to him, to fix the training and get going again, about an hour, 40 minutes. And a few cars passed us by then, but we were still 5th place about, and we knew the guys who we had to beat were still far behind us for points. And from there, we just cruised on into the finish line. We ended up 4th place, and a lot of things came to us with that 4th place points championship, 1600 championship. True Grit Award, we completed every mile of the year, and hopefully I'm up for nomination of Rookie of the Year, and we'll see if I get that.
Unfortunately, we finished 2 spots behind Jesse to time for the championship, which I don't know how that would have worked out, but basically we lost by 2 points. But that's racing in Baja, really. You know, it's some days it's your day, some days it's not. Some days you have the luck, and some days you really don't. And that day we just didn't have the luck. But we'll be back at the next 1,000, wanting to win again, and that's what always keeps us coming back. Is you never know when you're going to win again. So when you do win, it's just that much more special. So that's what we go for, and that's what we're looking for.
You know, when you're behind the 8 ball at the Baja 1000, it's tough, but we never surrender. The Desert Assassins never give up. We got it to the finish line in the top 20. Sounds lame, but we were there and we were able to celebrate completing the Baja and everybody there being safely.
Being the first Mexican team to win the Baja 1000 as an overall, and obviously there's been a lot of other teams. I mean, I think there's 37 classes in off-road racing between motorcycles, and I know there's been a lot of teams that have won it. I mean, I've had the pleasure of winning it. My father's had the pleasure of winning it in other classes, but just winning the Baja 1000 overall, I think Sal said it, we couldn't have wrote it better. I mean, it was the bicentennial, the centennial of the Mexican Revolution. It was the Run to La Paz. It was, you know, father-son team. It hadn't been done in 43 years. For the first time in 37 years, we beat the motorcycles. I mean, there was just so many things going on that made it, I guess, so perfect that it was obviously a very emotional moment for us. And I always say, when we run, you know, in Baja, when we run in Laughlin, wherever we run, since we're the only Mexican trophy truck team running, that in a certain way we represent Mexico, right? So when Andy wins, you know, the McMillin racing family won, right? But when Vildosola Racing wins, Mexico wins, which was something that is cool and that really kind of bears a lot of weight on our shoulders at some point, but we love it. I mean, we love doing it. We love having that responsibility, I guess, with us, and saying that Mexico won the Baja 1000. I mean, is obviously a great deal of pride for us. I mean, we're very happy. Obviously, it's something that my father has worked for the last 35 years. I mean, it's been his dream, and to be able to do it with him and accomplish it, you know, it's obviously a dream for us.
I guess I was kind of bummed with how it turned out, obviously, but to be honest, with the way the whole season has turned out, for me on the Shox side has been unbelievable. I mean, we won all the trophy truck races and all but one overall, and the trophy truck and the overall championship. So that's awesome. That's a really cool thing. I'm really, really proud about that. That's a really big thing. I don't think anybody else has ever won all the trophy truck races for a year. So from that standpoint, it's tough. It's tough. Plus, I'm stoked for Tavo and Javi and Gus Sr. You know, they just came back on board with us, and we did some testing. They were really happy, and you know, for them to go out and their first score race back and have a win like that, especially at the 1,000 where they had to battle, that's awesome. I mean, anytime you win the 1,000 is cool. Anytime you win the 1,000 having to race for it's really cool, especially on Peninsula runs. So that's a really cool thing. I'm really happy from that standpoint. And get Class 1 and a few other classes is awesome. So from the Fox standpoint, it's been a really good year. It's been cool. It's been fun.
Pretty amazing when you think about what they've done. You know, Jesse Jones and Andy McMillin trading off on wins with their 2 trucks, looking very solid and racing right down to the championship at the Baja 1000. Jesse Jones comes out on top, and he's been driving 3 different Geyser Brother trucks, again, all outfitted with the same Fox Racing shocks, and it's just a testament to how good the equipment is. And then to boot, Mexican Nationals win the Baja 1000 for the first time ever. Gus Vildosola Sr. and Gus Vildosola Jr., known as Tavo, they win it in a Geyser Brother truck with Fox shocks. So I think the overwhelming message is here, get a Geyser truck, put Fox shocks on it, get yourself to the front of the pack.
You know, the reason why we choose Fox Racing shocks, actually John and Todd came to us about 3 years ago in our old Robbie truck and wanted us to run their shocks. And back then, you know, Fox really wasn't at the top of the level, and they weren't really winning that many races in trophy trucks, didn't really have many trophy trucks running their shocks. And now you come to a season like 2010 where every single score race was a Geyser truck with Fox shocks winning that race. And I really think that speaks volumes of the product and the people behind it, and John and Todd and everyone at the factory who puts those things together. And you know, Fox is they're just really good guys to work with, and they'll really do whatever me and my dad, you know, want them to do, and we come up with ideas and they give us ideas, and we bounce ideas back and forth off each other, and it's just a really good relationship, and we really couldn't be happier with Fox Racing Shocks and what we've been able to get out of them, and the success we've been able to share with them. Fox Racing Shocks is always there for us when it counts.